we felt it would give us the best access to the strongest possible group of senior insurance decision makers.
InsurTech Insights is a must-do conference, I think, for the network that is built here.
It's great to spend some time with friends here on the same stage. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a privilege to be here today. I'm Gil Arazi, and I've spent the last 30 years immersed in the insurance industry, first on the corporate side, then as a founder of FinTLV Ventures, a global InsurTech VC. At FinTLV, we don't just invest, we try to imagine the future of insurance, and this is very important to identify and back the next generation of companies that are going to be redefining how risk is assessed, mitigated, and prevented. I've had the privilege of being at the forefront of the industry evolution, working with global insurance companies, reinsurance companies, technology pioneers, redefining what insurance can be. But today, we are not here to talk about the past. We are here to discuss the future. How insurance is not just a financial product, but a force that shapes society through impact, protection, and prevention. And to explore this, I could not ask for a more extraordinary panel. Sirma, Boshnakova, Danilo, Raponi, and Schimek, leaders, real leaders, who possess a deep understanding and forces of our whole industry. And so let's get into it, and welcome to a conversation that will challenge the way you think about insurance. And let's give a warm welcome to our panelists as we begin with a short introduction.
So thank you very much, Gil, for inviting me, and once again, thanks to the organizers for creating such a great event. I was here half an hour ago, so excuse me if I need, if you already know me, but my name is Sirma Boshnakova. I'm a board member of Allianz Group. It's a great privilege to be here today. I believe that insurance can be on the lead of creating a frictionless world and a peace of mind just a click away, especially in these moments when we need it so much. And I also believe this can be done through intelligent collaboration of all of us, incumbents, insurtechs, and regulators. So very happy to be here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gil. It's wonderful to be here, and I literally just got here, so thank you also for the organizers for ensuring that this is happening. I'm super happy to be here, not the first time on stage, but first time this year, and I'm also very excited to be discussing these themes with Sirma and Rob, which it's really about the future, as you said.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. I am Rob Schimek. I am the founder and CEO of Bolttech. For those of you who are not that familiar with us, we are the world's most internationally scaled insurtech focused on distribution. So today we operate in North America, Europe, Asia, and Africa across 35 countries. And in the past 12 months, we've quoted about $59 billion of premium on behalf of the distribution partners that we work with. I'm super proud to have the opportunity to be on this panel, partly because FinTLV is an investor, partly because my other two panelists are both partners of Bolttech. And so what a great pleasure it is to be here today.
Thanks very much. So let's start. Insurance is one of the most impactful industries on humanity. Every insured individual who has closed their protection gap experiences direct benefits, whether through preventative measures or post-loss recovery. So let's start with you, Danilo. This industry accompanying us at every moment of our lives. How should the insurance industry redefine itself as an impact industry that protects and improves our lives? Because now they think that we just want to collect premiums.
Isn't that the case? No,
Yeah.
just joking. No, so well, we said we will talk about the future, but I have to talk a little bit about the past, Gil, because I'm a historian by training, so I have to, otherwise I don't feel well. So actually, and I'm telling a little story now, which will only last about 2 hours. I guess it's okay.
We have time.
Good. No, actually, when I started working in the insurance, reinsurance industry, I was finishing up my PhD here at the University of Cambridge in modern history. And so it was by accident that I ended up in reinsurance. So they were interviewing me as Wisri at the time, and they asked me 2 questions. One was like, how can we brainwash you? And the other one was, why do you want to work in reinsurance? The answer to the first was like, you won't. That's why I've been a troublemaker ever since. The answer to the second one was like, well, you know, it's as an outsider to the industry. So I had at the time no interest in any technicalities of insurance or reinsurance. But what fascinated me was obviously the fact that without insurance or insurance, nothing can happen. No planes can fly, no ships can sail. We couldn't be here, right? It would just be too risky stuff. So we are, by definition, an impact industry, right?
Exactly.
We enable things, right? We make things happen, right? The thing which has been happening perhaps in the last decades was that sometimes, you know, partly by fault, partly by omission of good communication, we weren't able to show all the good that we are doing, right? And you know, sometimes, as you said, right, we gave the impression maybe to retail people that we were just there trying to get as much money as possible of them, denying claims and stuff, right? It's all, you know, and there are obviously specific examples where you can show that, but on the other hand, if you think about big things like, you know, partnerships that have been done with countries in Central America to protect them, well, from natural catastrophes, but also other smaller example of things that we're doing right now to prevent claims from small commercial enterprises across Europe. I mean, these are all things that are enabling people to live their lives, not only to survive, but to thrive, right? And we do this across, right? We do this across the spectrum of society, from helping migrants in Germany, what we are doing at the moment, to enabling our biggest, larger corporate partners in the world to make sure that the economy thrives. So I think we are just by definition an impact industry. And you can always do better, right?
Exactly.
Let's see how we can do better.
But
yeah,
I think this is our mission to humanity, to make people understand that we are in a mission of impact. That's the mission of the insurance industry. And Sirma, I want to move a bit further to speak about the moral and the social responsibility, because you've emphasized it in your speech earlier today, and the importance of a strong moral compass, being humane, honest, mindful, and purposeful, as insurers strive to provide peace of mind at a click of a button. So, however, today we are connecting our platforms and rely on an unprecedented network of partners and technology partners to deliver ultra-personalized data, real-time solutions, and all these reduce friction with our customers. And this expansion of the insurance ecosystem raises some critical challenges as more tech and service partners are joining this industry and become involved. There's a risk that the industry's moral compass could become inconsistent or even fade entirely. So how do you think that we can ensure that all partners, both technology and service providers, embrace and uphold the same ethical standards that insurers commit to?
Yeah, I think it's a theme for another InsurTech conference because this is super important for the future, especially when technology is developing so fast and providing so many opportunities. And, you know, we see it every day, and the more you can do, the more you're encouraged to go ahead. And there is a certain moment maybe when you can create the Frankenstein, and this is what we want to avoid. And if I said that the peace of mind means different things to different people, and we're ready to make sure that we're working on this in terms of hyper-personalization, for me, the moral compass is something that is not debatable, right?
Right.
Because there is not a debate on the value, on the ethics, and etc. And this is an area that we should not make a compromise. So I can talk about us, and I believe it's very important, but we have very clear standards What does value mean? What are the ethics? At the end of the day, the purpose of our company is we secure your future, and we are followed by this. So every time when we select a partner or a partnership or create a new product or project or a platform, we're also going through a certain framework defining what is good and what is wrong. And we are not saying that we are moralists that are to say what is good and what is wrong, but we want to make sure that we follow certain standards on a regular basis and there is not a compromise on this. I mean, we can use different technologies, we can think different things about the business models, about how we shape the business, but there is something that we need to make sure that is never compromised. And this is ethics, this is the moral, and this is how we act in these days in terms of how we accelerate
So this
technology.
is like checks and balances on the third parties.
Yes, and definitely there are already rules, the Data AO Act, for example,
Right.
that we have, and etc., that we need to follow. But for us, it's always about checks and balances, making very sure that we are on the same path with our partners,
Right.
and we are on a constant self-check of how we move.
Right. Okay, cool. So speaking of partners, Rob, both of your partners are here on stage. And as part of the impact of the insurance industry on its customers, there is a big role for insurance to minor the protection gaps of these customers. And I know that you are one of the pitchers about the protection gap. So where do you see the biggest protection gaps globally, and what innovative solutions can help to close them at the moment?
So the topic of the protection gap is something that doesn't require any real introduction. Everyone understands that it's the gap between those who need and those who have, right? And when you hear about the size of the prize or the size of the protection gap, it's usually expressed in the trillions of dollars.
Right.
And by the way, it's described in the magnitude of trillions of dollars and getting bigger, not getting smaller. So the very first thing that we typically try to do is just begin with, so what's creating it? What are the drivers? And I'm sure that if I asked all of you, you could come up with great drivers, and I'm going to give you what we think are sort of 4 undeniable drivers, but you might identify 2 or 3 others. Maybe there's 100 others. But these are for sure drivers, mega drivers of the protection gap. So let's start with simplicity. One of them is the climate change. You can't argue that the world's not changing in its climate, unless, of course, you're from America. Maybe we can argue that I'm only kidding. I don't argue that, but I'm just saying some might. But you can't argue that, and that creates real need, right? So imagine, how will the people in California who've just been through the wildfires, how will they protect their homes in the next insurance cycle? I can guarantee there will be fewer available insurers who are willing to write the risk, and that the price will not go down, it will go up. That will not shrink the protection gap, that will grow the protection gap, as a simplistic example. Other drivers of the protection gap, the aging population. So there is, without a doubt, an increase in the chronological age of the human being. This is evident clearly by the scientific studies that you'll see. But another fact that's true is that your body parts, my knees, my heart, the bodily organs that you have, your biological age, there's going to be a growing distance between your chronological age and your biological age. And if you want to have a good life, you're going to continue to have things that will make your life better, including different types of health tech or health aids. For example, your hearing would go and you need a hearing aid, or your heart would go and you need a pacemaker. You can understand those kinds of things that drive. And so again, in response to that, Bolttech, we are one of the largest providers of protection for hearing aids here in Europe. And so for each one of these drivers of the protection gap, there should be a response. Another driver of the protection gap that I think is undeniable is the pace of change in technology.
Right.
You cannot argue with this, and it's
Right.
one of the topics that I'm sure we will talk about here.
Yeah.
And as you think about technology, without a doubt, OpenAI, most recently DeepSeek, you see changes happening in technology at a pace that is just so fast. And what's ending up happening is it creates amazing opportunities, but it creates new risks and bigger risks and changing risks. And we all have to acknowledge that cyber risk is a bigger issue today than it was a year ago, than it was the year before. And that is an example of that protection gap continuing to expand. And we also focus on how can we provide cyber protection with the help, by the way, of our great partners who are the real experts. Our capability is to get that cyber protection to the human beings who need it, who might not have otherwise either been educated on it or might not have otherwise known how to get it, right? And so our focus is how can you understand the drivers of the protection gap, and then how can you help to be part of the response? The only other element of the drivers of the protection gap that I'll comment on here, but you could again find others, is you can't argue that these human beings need shelter and they need mobility to get to the shelter. And these are facts of life. And so homeowners insurance or mobility insurance for your vehicle, all of these things become relevant because a human being must live somewhere. The human being must also get to where they're going to live and where they're going to work. These are the facts of life. So in our view, these things, the urbanization of the world, also create elements of the protection gap. And what we should be trying to do together as partners, and what we believe our role is to help access those customers through our distribution partners and bring the best of the capabilities from these insurance partners to respond to the needs of those individuals who otherwise need the protection but don't have access to it.
That's amazing. So basically what you're saying is that evolving risks create new protection gaps, which will create larger impact of our industry on society. That's in general. So I have an open question for you on this. So beyond financial payouts that customers are looking for getting their claims paid, what more can insurance do to support customers before, during, and after losses to reduce overall human suffering? And I'm connecting human suffering to the impact that we are speaking about.
Well, I'll say something first, but I'm actually going to say something that will refer you to these other two, because they both of these two organizations, with Allianz Partners and with Europe Assistance, they both have capabilities that focus around providing assistance,
Right.
trying to help others, not just provide the monetary relief, but also saying, how can I assist you? So I'll turn the table back over to them, but it's very interesting. They focus exactly on that topic.
Go ahead.
So I actually believe that insurance should go beyond insurance, and this is what we are talking, and this is what we've been building in the past several years, because we want to be a constant companion in everyday life of our people. So when they travel, when they're in the house, when they're on the move, when they have certain health topics and etc. And we don't want to be just a balance sheet provider, because this is not what we believe is the core purpose, at least of Allianz. We want to make sure that we are for them at every single moment. If accident happens, then we take care of everything. In best case scenario, we want to make sure that we prevent that accidents happen. And just to give you an example, we use the telematics in order to support our clients in terms of driving behavior and how to make it better and etc. And if something goes wrong, we are here to support them with everything, with their overwhelming situation. If there is a health situation, we provide them telehealth, or we evacuate them immediately and etc. And this is everywhere. So for us, it's not like we don't see it as that we need to spend money and we are not happy with this. We see it in investment in the future and in the way how we support our clients. And definitely we're for them at every single second that they need us.
Right.
And yes, absolutely. And I would add, this is basically another element of the protection gap that Rob was talking about before, right, is the fact that if you do not provide anything else beyond the pure balance sheet protection, you're not actually there how people want it to be, right? So people, one of the problems of sometimes, insurance being, undersold where it should be more present is that people find it either inaccessible, they don't understand what you actually get, boring, right, in general, and they don't associate a service to it, right? They only associate a moment of pain with it, no? But when you show what we're trying to do instead, I mean, in the industry, but also in general with our lifetime partner strategies, I really want to be a lifetime partner. I want to be there wherever a customer is, right? And this can take a lot of forms and shape. Europa Assistance is obviously a great example of this, right? It can be in moments of pleasure, right? Embedding everything, for example, in your Airbnb stay, no? So that if something happens, you don't, everything gets sorted out. You don't see anything. You don't have to do anything. It can be in simple, home owners insurance where, there was like the lady living next to my door. She had some water leaks, right? And then she told me like the best thing for me was the fact that I only had to call a number and the plumber came and the builders came, they did everything. Then, whatever, that for me was more important than the fact that the cost was covered, right? Obviously, eventually also, or when if you get, a babysitter if something happens to you, or if you get, right, for your elderly parents, an urgent caregiver at home. I mean, these are all things that are important for, we're talking about humans, no? And lives of people.
So we speak about connectivity, and we speak about how to accompanying our customers all along the way. So companions, right?
Yes.
I think what is super important is to make sure that, we are not talking about, specific situations, but, for us, it's about connecting these different assets into a flow, right? Which means that actually whatever happens with you, you don't need to, to think around this. You need to make sure that we have taken care in a way that technologically, mentally, emotionally, also from preparedness perspective and also availability of the physical network, we're there for you. And on our side is to make sure that we connect the dots in a flawless manner.
Right.
So this is something important, and also to make sure that we provide with the right solutions that are, allowing them to minimize the risk, or if something happens, to be there for them in this very second, and also to make sure that we take care of the future. And just, last year we had a lot of floods, and just this example on Germany, what we did to make sure that our clients are safe and protected is that we sent to everybody, there was an automatic alert sending information to everybody in very specific zones, because we are now at the level of being very micro-specific of when something could happen, giving them advice what they need to do, how to protect the housing, how to make sure that, you put the car in the safe way, and etc. And, certain advice, but also what happened is right after, the floods appeared or occurred, our loss adjusters were there. First of all, we had a super automated process of first notice of loss, because we had a big process, and can you imagine the frustration? And we also have our call centers. But also what was important, our loss adjusters were within hours after the event, because we know that if you take care within the first 24 hours, the opportunity to save the house, or at least the physical assets, to much higher.
It's much higher.
Is much higher. So that's why we put our efforts. We brought dress and etc. And this is what I mean by, connected platforms, by frictionless world, because at the end of the day, we are connecting the dots, and it's not only Allianz partners or direct or soft and etc. It's just a joint work which is seamlessly integrated, and where the customers don't feel the necessity to call different stakeholders. But this is what we mean by taking care of the client.
So you add integration, but this all leads me to our next topic, which is moving from protection to prevention. And so, because traditionally insurance companies are focused on responding after catastrophes and compensating losses after they occur. But with all these advancements of technology and AI and digital abilities and data analytics and all these understandings that we have under the palms of our hands, including risk prevention strategies, I think that insurance have the capability to mitigate or even eliminate some of the risks during the lifetime of their customers. So maybe, Danilo, how do you see the shift towards prevention transforming our industry?
Well, I see it as a natural shift, to be honest. I mean,
Right.
you know, it's so the cynical view will say, oh, but if we prevent too much, there's not going to be anything to insure anymore, right? But again, as a cynical view, it's not right. I mean, this is what our clients expect of us, right? Especially the more technologies we have, the more sensors, and the more the AI can help us. If we don't do it, someone else is going to do it, right? So we might as well do it properly.
Right.
And anyway, however good we can be at preventing, we will not be able to prevent everything, right? So there is always going to be the need for insurance in catastrophic events, right? And this is just, and there are ways of making the two things work and coexist. I mean, we're experimenting one right now in France, for example, right? It's a joint venture, by the way, with other two companies where we, for smaller enterprises, the ones where we can't send risk managers all the time, because there are too many and they're too small, we just equip them with all sorts of sensors, so IoT everywhere for any kind of risk they may have. And we built like a software around it, which helps monitor all the time. And with that, we've already managed to prevent more than 20 million euros of claims in a year. But it's obviously a service that it costs as well, right? So for the client is getting a better risk profile. The client still prefers to have their factory not burned down, right? And still do pay insurance in the case it happens, no? And at the same time, we're providing a service that it's a win-win for everybody, no?
But these services cost money, okay? And I'm going to ask Rob because he's not an insurance company.
So he's charging us with it.
Yeah, exactly. He's charging. So the biggest business incentives for the insurance companies to invest in loss mitigation and prevention technologies, these cost a lot of money. How do you think there is an incentive around it?
So I'm going to give two examples that are maybe real life examples that I think also will make it obvious why this is a good investment for others. So I mentioned earlier that we quote about $59 billion US, $160 million of premium every day through the Bolttech machine. The two products that we quote the most are, not surprising, automobile and homeowners, right? And homeowners, one of the largest causes of attritional loss for homes is, rather than fire, it's actually water, water leak. So we have built a Preventech business focused on water leak detection sensors, and we provide something that's a little bit different, and actually others have done that and do that pretty well. But if you're going to continue to get smarter about this, you should provide 24-hour a day, 7 days a week, continuous monitoring of that, so you know exactly when the problem happened and you respond immediately. So we've done this, and in the places where we've done this, we've ended up with at least a 10-point improvement in the water leak loss ratio associated with the book of business.
Attritional.
Sometimes we even put our own capital behind it. So we actually even have a balance sheet if necessary. We've done that in the US. But why are we really doing it? We're doing it because in quoting such a large volume of homeowners insurance, we can actually do more than just be a marketplace that provides a quote, but we can actually be part of a solution that says, and if you use the right technology, you can get an even better answer for the end customer, for the insurance carrier who has to absorb that loss in the first place, which actually makes our role in this process all that much more valuable. So we use this to try to make it a win-win-win for everyone. The end customer doesn't have the loss. They have immediate notification. Because there's not a loss, the insurance carrier has a much better experience, and we become a more valuable part of that ecosystem. And all of those things fit together that it makes it more effective, more cost effective for everyone. In that case, we weren't asking the insurer to bear the burden of that. We'll bear the burden of that.
Oh, really?
So that in the end, we can provide a better answer that is a solution for the insurer and for the end customer. So that's an example.
Do you see changes in the retention of these customers?
Yeah, both in the retention of the customers, but also, and also, of course, in the satisfaction of the carrier who doesn't have the loss and of the customer themselves. So that's an example, but it's not always on the back of the insurer. But when it is, as long as they're happy to make investments, I don't want to speak for you, but you're happy to make investments when the result is a result that actually is a winning formula for everyone. Mm-hmm. When it's not a winning formula for everyone, someone won and someone else lost, that's not a great solution. But we're looking for those winning formulas for everyone.
These results, okay, if we speak about reduction on loss ratios, sometimes it takes years to prove that you actually reduce the loss ratios. So how can you measure these results on a shorter period of time?
At least for the example I just used, because it's a short-term policy, you know your answer within the year. So while we might not know it in a week or a day, et cetera, we surely know it within a finite period of time.
I mean, I would add, from my experience and what we've noticed, sometimes all these preventative measures actually don't cost too much, right?
Don't cost too much.
No, you don't need to spend billions and zillions of money to build this. Sometimes it's a question of focus of the organization and beliefs. That's why it's super important to make sure that the company and the organization has the focus, that actually a part of our topic is also to support our clients in minimizing the risk, in making sure that we help them to prevent any risk and etc. And I don't remember, this year would be 10 years since I work in Allianz, that we rejected a project or investment on prevention because it was too expensive and it was not recovering. Maybe we could reject if it doesn't make sense or it doesn't give an output. This is a different story, but we've never said that we will not invest in something like prevention or supporting or making the life of our clients easier just because the business case didn't make sense. Because it's not about money, it's about focus of the organization and making sure that we are, set to execute on a fast manner.
This is very important, and also, I mean, sometimes it's not the prevention and the business plans always clash, right? I mean, sometimes, I mean, you can make them work very well. I mean, the examples of Rob, but also the example I mentioned, right? I mean, there the business case was very simple, and it was fast. To go back to your question, in the first year we already saw less claims for about 14-15 million. Second year 2025, so it was a very simple business case, and then so we had less claims. The customers had also reduced cost of the policy after a couple of years when you see like a good loss traction, and obviously everybody was benefiting. Maybe not the contractors who couldn't rebuild the factory that burned down, but we can't think of everybody, right?
So everything leads me back to the impact, but we can talk about it. So I want to move a bit further to data. Data is thing that matters today the most. And how are insurers integrating AI and real-time data into your underwriting, risk modeling, and policy pricing?
I mean, look, as incumbent, we are lucky to have a lot of data. And we're also unlucky that we have, we've been more than 130 years old. So you could imagine what is the heritage that we bring in terms of where we, have the data, when we store the data, and etc. On the other hand, what I believe is happening these days, and this is dramatic improvement and radical improvement of the way how we can use the data, is actually the technology is giving us a lot of opportunities to extract data. And what was possible to do, like in the past, within 1 year, to get all the systems together, to get data, to think about this, and etc. Now it's happening within weeks. So that is why, for me, these days is a great opportunity for the incumbents that are cooperating in intelligent manner also with the insurtech companies and with the AI-focused companies, because then we can get the benefits out of the system in a fast and great manner. So I'm very much forward-looking and very curious, actually, to start already not only observing or dreaming, but we are already at the age when we see the first impact of using the data in a new manner. Not only in terms of pricing models, but also in terms of customer experience. It's tremendous what we can afford in terms of hyper-personalization. So there is a lot of opportunities these days for us as incumbents, collaborating with different stakeholders to provide something, as I say, awesome for the clients.
Yeah, I mean, to maybe paraphrase Nietzsche, what matters is not the data itself, but the interpretation of the data, no?
Right.
And so, whereas we, as Sirma said, as incumbents, we have an enormous amount of data, more than we can possibly analyze, maybe until now, but now maybe we can, right?
Because we can, don't worry.
We can, of course, but now we can even be better at it thanks to the new technologies, right? So, and we can use the real-time data together, no? So it's not a matter of either or, no? It's a matter of how do we integrate the future-looking part with the backward-looking one. Actuarial science is there to stay, so we're always going to have a look at the past, but for new risks, so for other covers that are maybe not the indemnity one, for the parametrics, we need new and different kinds of data, and that's a lot of things that is already happening. A lot of experiments we are conducting with partners. This is one thing also we find is important, to partner with startups that are working in the field, in parametric, for example, in smart and automated underwritings. So there's a lot that we are doing and that we will be doing more and more. And not to use a buzzword, I mean, AI obviously helps a lot. Generative AI helps to interpret it even better, right? So I'm looking forward to it.
We don't want to speak about AI today, right?
No.
We've had enough with AI this week. I think we only have 3 minutes, so I have maybe 2 quick questions. The one is that I would love to hear from you guys. If you could change one thing in the insurance industry today to accelerate prevention, to accelerate better life to your customers, to accelerate maybe impact on on humanity, what would it be?
I'll start. I think I would want it to be much more of a ecosystem where we work together a bit more as partners, as opposed to the do-it-yourself mentality. If everyone's trying to build their own solution to the exact same things, we're never going to get done making the level of progress that should be achieved to close the protection gap.
Yeah, I would also agree that for me, intelligent collaboration is something that we all need to work for. Sometimes we have the mental competition type of thing, and we need to overcome this. Also considering the customer taste, but intelligent collaboration is something that we need to work much more in this direction.
Right.
I absolutely agree with you. I'm a big fan of the partnering, as I said just before, right? Rather than building everything all the time ourselves. But also, I think, I go back to what I said at the very beginning, it's also a soft factor most of the time, right? To have more impact, to have less protection gap. It's really a matter of communicating. I mean, we are a great industry. We are already there solving a lot of problems. Sometimes we just don't manage to communicate it properly, right? So just turning the table. Let's not talk about risks. Let's talk about opportunities, right? Let's not talk about the past. Let's talk about the future. It's really about engaging people and companies more, right, in what we do.
Amazing. So I'd like to conclude my takeouts from this discussion. First of all, I really believe that we are a very impactful community, very impactful industry. We impact on the lives of everyone that is insured and everyone that has any protection gap. We just help him to get better life. And I think if we speak about collaboration, I think if we will collaborate more within this industry, we're going to be in a much better place. And I really, really appreciate every minute of your time today. Thank you very much, Sirma, Danilo, and Rob. And I hope you enjoyed our discussion.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.